I am Mahendra Subhash Kharrar, an assistant professor in law. Today, we are going to discuss in this video the concepts in law, that is a person. There are various concepts in law like person, property, possession, ownership, liability, and so on. Here in this video, we are going to discuss about the concept of person. We will see the meaning, concept, law of status, legal or judicial personality, meaning of a person in a legal context, and different various other concepts which are related to the person like a corporate personality, legal status of animal, legal status of idol and mosque, legal status of unborn child or an infant child, and legal status of drunkard, lunatic, and minor person. So, first we understand the term person. The term person is derived from the Latin word persona, which means mask or person. In earlier Greek period, different artists use mask to showcase their character in the drama, and therefore a single person use different kinds of masks to display different characters, and therefore the word persona is derived from the term mask, and now it is known as a person. In general, there are various definitions propounded by different jurists. Let's understand this definition. According to Savigny, the term person is the subject or a bearer of a right. The person is anything or any subject who can hold the right according to Savigny. Whereas according to Gray, a person is an entity to which rights and duties may be attributed. Means a person shall be a thing to which the parliament or the legal system of the concerned society can endow rights and duties. Whereas according to section 11 of Indian Penal Code, it defines the term person as the term person includes any company or association or a body of persons, whether incorporated or not. This is a legal definition of person. Here they have not defined the word person, but only suggested that a person includes natural human being as well as a legal persons. Let's move further. We'll understand the term personality. We use the term personality for human beings alone because it is only them who can be the subject matter of rights and duties, therefore of juristic personality. Please understand, dear friends, the word subject matter of rights and duties means in a legal system only the person, only the human being is considered as eligible to carry on rights and to discharge certain duties. And therefore there are two kinds of persons, natural persons and legal persons. These are creation of a legal system. So let us consider the legal status and personality of a few non-human beings. We can understand the natural person is a person who is born from mother's womb, and therefore he is a natural person or a human being. But there is a little bit complications regarding the term legal persons or the personality attributed to certain non-human beings. So let us understand and study the law of status. Under the eyes of the law, there are two types of legal entities. Means the law has created two kinds of entities, that is human and non-human. Human beings like us, natural human beings, and non-human beings who also have certain rights and duties like corporations and companies. So a person will be a human legal entity, but a company or corporation on the other hand is a judicial or non-human person or entity, because it has certain legal rights and duties just like a human being, and therefore these two are considered as a person. This is known as a legal personality or a juristic personality. In law, there are two essentials of a legal person, such as corpus and animus. Means every human being has corpus and animus. Corpus means a body. Like a natural person, a legal person should also have a corpus, that is a body, which the law infuses the animus. In that body, the law infuse animus. Animus means the intention or the motive or the personality. With a certain object, any company, any corporation or any association is established, and that object clause is known as animus. And therefore, the famous definition of a person given by Salmon, according to Salmon, a person is any being whom the law regards as capable of rights and bound by legal duties. Here, the definition given by Salmon has to be studied very carefully. He said, a person is any being. Any being means a natural being as well as legal being. Condition is that to whom the law regards, means the legal system of that particular society should consider that being as capable of rights. That capacity should be there. If a person, either natural or non-natural, that is a legal person, is incapable to hold a right and duties, then it is not considered as a person. Let us understand some more. Company has a personality and therefore enjoys certain rights and duties as well. So, let us learn more about the legal personality of non-human beings. Up till now, we understood what is meant by person. Person is anything which is capable to hold rights and duties, and therefore moving further, we'll see what is meant by legal person. Legal persons are juristic persons or fictitious or artificial persons, whereas natural person is a human being with a natural personality. Like we have all the limbs and organs to a human being, likewise a legal person do have its own body, and therefore as per law that legal person is capable of rights and duties. A legal person has a real existence, but its personality is fictitious. Personality means the organs or the limbs or the life of that person. Legal person, like a company, has its real existence. The company is registered at a particular office, but it does not have a personality like a human being. Personality means a soul or intention which a natural person do have. Like legal person may not have a personality, and therefore it is considered as a fictitious. Now let us understand the term corporate personality or a legal personality of non-human beings. As per the law, a corporation is an artificial person. Corporation means any association or body which has been corporated, that is constituted by law, and therefore it is known as a corporation. Corporate, it is derived from the corpus, that is a body, and corporate means to establish a body, and therefore a corporate personality. A corporate personality has the ability to enjoy rights, fulfill its duties, and hold property in its own name. Like a legal person, any corporate personality which has been established by the law may enjoy certain rights, always has to fulfill the duties, and that personality can hold the property in its own name, as well as they can appoint the servant on their name. Hence, the concept of corporate personality is a singular creation of the law, means the law should be there. The best example of this is the corporate personality of a company which is created under the Companies Act 2013 in India. And other such examples of institutes with corporate personalities like banks, universities, corporate bodies, colleges, association of person, and so on. Every association which is established by law is a corporate personality. Now, moving further, there are many theories that shows and reflect the nature and scope of this corporate personality as created by law. Here, many jurists have propounded their own theories regarding why the corporate should be known as a person, and therefore this theory propounds their own logical ideas, their logical reasoning that why the corporate should be considered as a corporate personality, and therefore these are the theories of corporate personality. This theory gives us a theoretical perspective on the topic, that is a corporate, allowing us a better understanding of the concept of corporate personality. And these theories of corporate personalities are, which we are going to see: fiction theory, concession theory, realist theory, bracket theory, purpose theory, and group personality theory. First, the fiction theory. As per the fiction theory, a corporation exists only as an outcome of a fiction or metaphor. Means, according to this theory, there is no corporation as such, but it is a fiction created by human mind or by a law, and therefore, according to this theory, there is nothing like a personality of the corporation. And so, according to this theory, the personality that is attached to this corporation is done purely by legal fiction. The legal person is created only in the eyes of law for a specific purpose. Means, the legal personality is only in the eyes of law. It is not for the purpose of a common man. And therefore, this theory suggests that the corporation is a pure legal fiction. This theory was propounded by Savigny and it was backed or approved by Salmon and Holland. Next one is the concession theory. This is similar to the fiction theory. According to this theory, the term personality is like a concession given to the body corporate. It is a concession given by the law. It states that this theory states that the legal entity has been given a corporate personality or a legal existence by the functions of the state. It is the function of the state and that gives personality to the corporation, and therefore this is a creation of the state. As per this theory, only the state can endow legal personality and not the law. Means, for giving personality to the corporation, a state must exist. Here we can consider the example of East India Company, which is a charter company, and the personality is endowed to that charter, to that corporation, by the Crown of Britain, and therefore it was the concession given by the royal order or royal charter to the company to do business with East India Asia. Next is a realist theory. As per this theory, there is a really no distinction between natural person and artificial person. This theory accepts that there is a real existence of the corporation, and so a corporate entity is as much as a person as like a natural persons, as both are having a bodily existence as well as animus too. And so the corporation does not owe its existence to the state or the law. The existence of the corporation is per se evidentiary, and therefore it just exists in reality. This is not a very practical theory, but it applied in the real world, realist theory. Next one is the bracket theory. This is a very interesting theory. Bracket theory is also known as the symbolist theory, which states that a corporation is created only by its member and its agents. Understand the concept bracket Bracket is like a framework, like a memorandum of association or article of association. This framework is placed by the law or by the state so as to identify the separate existence of the corporation, separate from its members or the promoters who have established that corporation, and therefore bracket denotes the idea of segregation between the person who have established and the thing which has been established. Therefore this is a very interesting theory, bracket theory. Next one is a purpose theory. Of course, every corporation has a certain purpose behind its establishment, and therefore there is an object clause in memorandum of association. Let's understand this theory. This theory declares that only human being can be a person and have rights. It also states that a juristic person is no person at all, but merely a subjectless property meant for a particular purpose. Means the corporation is not a person, but it is a body created for a particular purpose, and therefore there is a ownership but no owner. Of the owner shall be a natural person. Of course, the ownership is with the corporation, but the owner shall be natural person. The owner cannot be a legal person. Thus, a juristic person is not constructed by a group of people, but it is based on some object and purposes. Means as soon as the object and purpose of establishment of corporation gets over or expired, the corporation or the body which has been infused in a legal personality shall be disposed of, shall lapse, and therefore only living things can be the subject matter of rights and duties and not the corporation according to this theory. As long as the purpose exists, the corporation exists. Moving further, last theory is known as a group personality theory. This is a general term. This theory believes that every collective group has a real mind, a real will and real power of action, and therefore corporation is nothing but a group of persons. It is an association established for a particular purpose or to carry on particular object, and therefore a corporation has a real existence irrespective of the fact whether it is recognized by the state or not. The recognition is not material, is not important, but the corporation, which is a creation of an association, and therefore it has a group personality. Now moving further, till now we understood what is corporate personality, what are the theories of corporate personality. Now we'll understand what is meant by legal status of animal. Many times a question comes whether an animal can be considered as a person, and therefore this is necessary to understand. In many cases, law will grant legal personhood to non-human entities. Non-human entities like a corporation. Corporation also has a personality. Apart from corporation, there are certain other objects like animals. In ancient times, lower animals and beasts were punished by any wrong done by them. Means they were considered as a subject to the law or a subject of law, and therefore if animal has done anything wrong, he has to get punishment. But in modern times, animals are not considered as a legal persons, but they are considered as an object since they do not enjoy rights or have duties, and therefore they shall not be considered as a legal person so far as modern law is concerned. But in modern law, master shall be held responsible for the acts of his pets and beasts, and therefore vicarious liability is imposed on the master. Now let us understand the concept of object and subject of law. This is very important to understand the concept of rights and the person. Person is considered as a person because he is considered as a subject of law, means he has to follow the law. But animals are not considered as subject of law, but they are considered as an object of law. means the law is created for the benefit of animal, and therefore the law is not expecting anything or any rights and duties from the animals. Here the picture itself is explanatory that the entertainment is owner of 500 crore property. Of course this is a movie, but we shall take the legal significance of the movie. Now next, law does recognize the need to protect animals of all kinds. Indian law has made a provision for the well-being and maintenance of animals, like protection or cruelty towards animals act and etc. These are the Indian laws which takes care the maintenance of animals. And so cruelty towards animals is an offense. Interesting, a charitable public trust made for the benefit of a class of animals and not an individual animal is valid and enforceable. Means a trust can be established for the benefit of, say, cows. There can be a separate trust for the welfare and benefit of cows, or welfare and benefit of, say, dogs, but not for a single animal. You cannot establish a trust, because a trust shall be there for the benefit of class of animals and not of any individual animal. Next, legal status of idol and mosque. Many time question comes whether idol and mosque, mandir and masjid, whether they have any personality. Therefore, it has been judicially understood that idols are to be considered as a judicial person with a distinct and separate legal personality. Idol or a temple is considered as a separate personality because it is considered as a legal person. It is established under Public Trust Act. It can hold the property on its name. It can appoint the servant on its name, and therefore idol are considered as a separate legal person. In famous case of Pramathanath Mulik versus Pradyumna Kumar Mulik, the Privy Council came to an important decision and which held that the idol is a legal person and has the right to have its location duly respected, and a disinterested next friend can represent it, which the court will appoint. Means the idol is considered as a legal person as it has certain rights and capable to discharge certain duties. Of course, on behalf of idol or temple, pujari and other worshipper can discharge their rights and duties. In another case of Yogendranath Naskar versus Commissioner of Income Tax, it was held that if an idol can hold the property, then it must also pay taxes. This further cements or concretizes its status as a separate judicial entity, and therefore it is clear that the idol or temple are a separate legal person. As well as the court also have held that mosques are a separate judicial entities. Mosques and temples are considered as a property of God, and therefore in a famous movie of Oh My God, this question that whether the temple, whether the mosque are to be held responsible for the act of God, and yes, it was held that this is the act of God, natural calamity is act of God, and therefore the God should compensate the loss. Next is a legal status of an unborn child. Unborn child, that is a child who is in mother's womb, whether he or she shall be considered as a person or not, that was the question. By a legal fiction, an unborn child is considered as already born. Means the person or a child, when he completes 3 months in mother's womb, then he is considered as a person because he has been granted a certain legal personality. He becomes the object of law. The law should take care the health of not only pregnant woman but the health of unborn baby also, fetus also, and therefore he is considered as a person. He enjoys rights under Article 21 also, because he also has a right to life, right to live, he has a right to get medical assistance, he has a right to get food, and therefore that child, if born alive, then he will enjoy the legal status of personality, and therefore unborn child is now considered as a person. We know the story of Abhimanyu, who learnt everything when he was in mother's womb, and therefore there are many other laws who consider the child in mother's womb as good as a person. For example, in Transfer of Property Act, we can transfer the property for the benefit of unborn child. Only condition is that he has to get alive, he has to born alive. As well as in Indian Succession Act, we can create interest in the name of unborn child. That is, while partition, if a lady is pregnant, then the share shall be kept separate for the unborn child. As well as in Hindu undivided family of Mitakshara law, an unborn child has an interest in a co-personality property, because a child gets right by birth in co-personality property, and therefore in Mitakshara law unborn child is considered as a person. Similarly, in criminal procedure code, if a female member who has been sentenced to death, if she is found pregnant, then her till her delivery, her execution of death sentence shall be postponed. Similarly, in IPC, while defining the section of murder, the mention is made of child in mother's womb. Therefore, he is considered as a person. Now, next question always comes, whether a dead man or a person who has been dead is considered as a person or not. Here we'll see, a dead person is no more a legal entity, but as soon as a person dies, he becomes incapable of enjoying his rights or performing his duties. He personally shall not be held responsible to discharge rights or duties, because he is dead and therefore is incapable. But the legal personality of a person ends with their death. It is mentioned in a famous maxim, actio personalis moritur cum persona, that personal action dies with the person, and therefore, but the law does take into account the wishes and desires of the deceased person. If the deceased person has created a will, then as per his will the property shall be distributed, and therefore the property which is left behind by the dead person, that should be respected. There are certain rights to the dead person. For example, every person has a legal right to a decent burial as per their religious faith, and therefore even a soldier who has been died at the war, he should get, his dead body should get a respect or a right of decent burial. Any act that amounts to indignity of the corpse, that is a body, is punishable by section 297 of the IPC, and therefore the corpse shall be respected. This applies to any homeless person also who have no family. He should also have right to decent burial. The wishes of a dead person regarding his property must be fulfilled, as we said, in a will which he has prepared in a testamentary succession. Then testamentary succession is the will of a deceased, and therefore it shall be respected. As well as the defamation of a dead person is also considered as a punishable offense under section 499 of the IPC. It is not a defamation of the dead person, but it may amount to defamation of his legal heirs. Now the next point is, what is the legal status of drunkard, lunatic and a minor person? As we know that drunken, lunatic and minor person are incapable to hold right as well as incapable to discharge duties, and therefore the question always comes whether the personality shall be given to this drunkard, lunatic and minor person. Therefore these are considered as some special consideration. They are considered incapable to enter into contract. We know that in Indian Contract Act some grounds are being mentioned for entering into valid contract, and these person who are incapable to enter into contract cannot enter into contract because of their incapacity. So any person who is mentally afflicted, including lunatic and drunk person, at the time of entering into contract is incapable of doing so, and therefore it is known as a void ab initio. Means when the person enters into contract, if he is a drunken or under the influence of alcohol, or he has suffered certain lunacy, or if he is a minor at the time of entering into contract, that contract is considered as a void ab initio. This person is considered as disqualified to enter into contract. I hope you like the video. If you like the video, please like, subscribe and share it. Please watch more videos on my channel. It will give a more information regarding the various legal topics of law. I hope you like the video. Thank you. Thank you.